Hi guys, how's it going? I thought I'd do an update. I hope the volume's okay and like the sound is okay on this. I do have a wireless microphone, but it's not really working well for me, so I'm gonna just leave that for now. But yeah, I thought I'd do an update because a couple of people have asked me how things are going and also just about my journey in general. And then things are kind of changing a bit, like circumstances are starting to change, although my health is still something that's like it's ongoing as always. But for anyone that doesn't know me in that, well, I'm Connor. Um, I've got severe. Well, depends how you look at it. I did have severe ME, CFS, and fibromyalgia as well. And in 2018, I became bedbound for about 3.5 years, 3.5 to 4 years. So I was just stuck in the room, one of the rooms in our house, for that period in a bed, and it was really severe. The pain was severe, the fatigue was severe. But anyway, in 2021, I think it was 2021, I went up to Leeds because they've got a clinic there called NICPM, which specialise in a range of neurological conditions, and MECFS falls under that bracket. Just for people out there again, it's not entirely neurological, like there are lots of kind of other elements to it, but I think the illness as a whole is kind of made up of all these different parts. Anyway, I went up there and I stayed there for 6 months, and I got up on my feet, I got out walking each day, I was able to like wash and go like have a shower and do basic stuff, a little bit of cooking, stuff like that. And then when I was discharged, I continued recovering for about a year. So I was actually doing, I don't know, like 4 hours volunteering a week. I was doing like an hour of kind of gardening for a neighbour and stuff like that, as well as going out on walks and doing a bit of driving and loads of kind of stuff like that. I wasn't quite able to work yet. But then I started a course in horticulture as a way to kind of get me back into working, like a stepping stone to doing that. And it went pretty well. But then towards the end, because there were lots of exams and things like that, towards the end my body just kind of gave up on me, and I started going backwards quite fast. And I think it was probably a mix of like pushing myself a bit too much physically, as well as like I think my nervous system is highly attuned to kind of academic stress. I think that's what kind of initially pushed me into the illness, was like the stress of university and all of that stuff. And I think for whatever reason my nervous system is just highly tuned to that, and it just didn't enjoy that at all. And I think that trying to get back into that through this course triggered me to get worse, as well as pushing myself physically a bit too much maybe. And also I have to say as well, maybe forgetting some of like the principles that I had learned when I was in hospital. So like the symptom checking, the kind of, and it's completely understandable, like if you're feeling really rough physically, you start to worry, obviously you start to worry, you start to stress, you start to monitor symptoms and think like, oh, is that going to get worse, what about this? And yeah, all of that feeds into the nervous system just being this like complete nervous wreck. So I got quite a lot worse. I never went back, luckily, to severe, as in being in bed again, being bedbound, but I was kind of housebound again pretty much. And like, yeah, I wasn't really able to do much cooking, and I wasn't able to kind of have a bath or a shower as much as you'd like, stuff like that. So yeah, I got quite rough again, and it's kind of persisted. And actually this time round the fatigue was one of like the foremost symptoms, whereas when I was bedbound the fatigue was absolutely there, but the pain was the thing that, I don't know how to put it, the pain was the thing that hurt the most, if you like, or the thing that just was absolutely intolerable. And I was so petrified of it as well, because it's pain like nothing I've ever experienced. So yeah, but anyway, that kind of peaked, if you like, maybe last July, so like a year ago kind of thing. And then it's been like a very, very slow but steady getting back some of that function. It's been really, really difficult. Like, I have to say, like a year ago in July, I was really having to hold on to that level of activity. Like, I just felt like I couldn't do anything. I could have easily gotten bedbound again if I hadn't tried to keep everything going. And that's something that, when you have the illness, you shouldn't push all the time. But if you do have a bad day, it's kind of important to try and be fairly consistent, so that the day after, when your strength comes back a little bit, you're kind of at the same level. You don't kind of regress. But it's hard, you know. I tried as hard as I could, and I still went backwards a long way. Like, I had to stop the gym. I couldn't do the volunteering. I couldn't do the hours gardening. So I did regress, and it was really tough. It was really tough, having gone through everything already before, and then thinking that I was going to be just coming out. And basically I had this idea that I was kind of going to reintegrate with my old life, you know, and continue. And maybe at one point I'd actually visited what's it called, Queen Mary University, London, on an open day, because I was thinking about maybe doing a master's in botany, which has been like a huge passion, and I've felt so driven to do it. There's a course that Kew Gardens teaches alongside Queen Mary, and I was so like excited and passionate for that. But yeah, I came to the realization that it just wasn't going to happen. Like, for whatever reason, my nervous system's just become so highly strung, in the sense of any kind of academic stress, any reading, writing, typing, that stuff really hurts my head. It's really difficult to do, which you feel so trapped, because my brain still works. You know, I've got like the cognitive abilities, but I can't express it, because even just doing this, just talking, after 10 minutes or so, it does feel harder. It's kind of hard. I can feel my voice kind of going, and the pain getting worse. And it's the same for reading, writing and typing. It's very difficult for me, which is horrible, because that's who I was. That was my life, you know. I was at university, and I was going to hopefully do a PhD and all that stuff. And then I got thrown into the illness, and I haven't been able to go back into it. I've kind of come to terms with that now, that maybe during this phase of my recovery, I shouldn't push in those areas. I should just try to really enjoy myself and focus on what I can do. And yeah, I have made progress in that year. I'm doing my kind of walk around the park 3 times a week. On the alternate days, I'm going to my allotment and doing that. I've just started in the last month or so being able to do a bit more cooking again. And being able to be a little bit more flexible with like what activities I do, because that's one of the most tricky parts of having the illness, is kind of trying to manage your activities. And when you get slightly better, there's just a little bit more flexibility in that, and you're able to do a few more things. So essentially that's where I am. The news, and I will get back to the medicines for if anyone's kind of wanting to hear about that. The kind of big news, the change in circumstance, is that my partner and I have bought a house. So during all the years that I was ill, I was still saving up, and so was my partner, because she does work. And along with a very big helping hand from my mum and her dad, we were able to buy a little house. And I'm not there yet. I'm still at my mum's house. And we had several other houses and flats and things that we would have been moved into by now, but anyway, they all fell through. And this one, fingers crossed, is going okay. So we're hopefully moving out. I think it'll probably be a couple of months, maybe. We've done quite a lot of the stuff like the mortgage stuff and all that. So hopefully in a couple of months we'll be moving out, and that'll be hopefully like the next step of my recovery. Even if I don't do a huge amount more physically when we move in, just the fact that we have our own little place is just a massive boost mentally. And yeah, I'm hoping that my recovery will then continue to the point where I can maybe get some work, and this time I'm going to just go with anything my body can do for like a couple of hours. I'm going to try and find work in that. So yeah, that's where I am in terms of the update. With regards to the medicines, so I'm still taking gabapentin for the pain. Well, it kind of affects everything in your nervous system. I'm still taking amitriptyline, though I'm meant to be coming off of that. Sertraline and quetiapine. So sertraline 200 milligrams, quetiapine 250, I think. I was put on those medicines at Leeds, and the idea was that as you recover and you kind of go back into life, you can start to come off of those medicines. Obviously, because I went downhill again, I didn't try to reduce those because I was just trying to keep up, like, just trying to hold my activity where it was. So I'm still taking them, and I'm trying in a way not to think about it. Like, I don't really know if they're helping or not at this point, but I think someone mentioned that their body is very sensitive to medication, and mine definitely is. So I don't want to come off of them, because even if they're not actually helping with the illness, my body will have to, like, it basically, my nervous system kind of freaks out whenever medicines change, even if I don't consciously know that they've changed. There was a really good example of that a couple of months ago where they ran out of a certain medicine. They gave me the equivalent, but it was in a different form, and I didn't know this at the time. I was just taking it and wondering why everything was getting really, really rough. And then it turned out that, yeah, I was taking the wrong form of the medicine, and my body just kind of freaked out. And it's interesting. It just shows that there's a lot going on, kind of not even subconsciously, just on a biochemical level, that we can't necessarily influence directly. Like, we even if you don't know about it, stuff can still happen. It's another example. A really good one is when I have a cold, I will get the ME fibromyalgia symptoms worse before I even know I've got a cold. So obviously there's something in my immune system that's kind of signaling to my nervous system, like, hey, we've got some kind of invader going on here. And then my nervous system heightens all the symptoms, and that can happen before I even know that I've got a cold, before any of the cold symptoms start. So I just want to emphasize that, because I think a lot of people think that just because I went to the neurological clinic in Leeds, that means that it's all in your head, and that's absolutely rubbish. Like, it's not in your head. It's the whole nervous system, and that starts to influence other systems in the body. And also there are lots of people often come down with a virus and then get ME or long COVID, etc. And that's not a coincidence. It's like there's obviously some interchange between the immune system and the nervous system and the endocrine system, and all of these things are interlinked. So like ME is a real physical illness, but we can influence it slightly through the nervous system. And actually, as part of my kind of this period of recovery again, although it's been very slow, I was seeing a counsellor once every fortnight, just to vent, and because I was in a really crap place mentally because of how the symptoms were. But I'm also still seeing this other counsellor who I don't want to like advertise it, but basically it's just about I don't want to say nervous system retraining, because it sounds a bit kind of vague and weird, but it's kind of that sort of thing. It's basically just reminding yourself that even though the symptoms are present, your body is okay. the symptoms, I don't know how to phrase it again, because that makes it sound like it's all in your head, which is not what I'm saying. But essentially, when the symptoms arise, if we consciously freak out at that and panic and worry, which is completely natural, like anyone would, you know, but when we do that, we're kind of feeding back in to the whole nervous system being on this kind of heightened state of like looking out for danger. And so this kind of counselling is sort of, I don't know, it's kind of encouraging us to, when the symptoms arise, just to be like, okay, but just put it aside. It doesn't mean that you should push through everything. You should kind of keep stuff roughly constant. You know, maybe slightly increase as time goes on, but keep stuff roughly constant. It's not about pushing, but it's just about not reacting so much to when the symptoms are there, because otherwise it all just feeds into each other and it becomes this big loop of like the nervous system, you know, there's a symptom and it goes, oh crap, and then it produces more symptoms and so on and so forth. So yeah, it's just about kind of trying to break out of that. And it doesn't mean that that's the cure to ME, because I still believe that there's very physical elements. I mean, even the nervous system itself is a physical thing, isn't it? But yeah, that's kind of where I am. I don't know if that's helped much for anyone, but yeah, I don't know. I thought I'd just give a little update, and yeah, sort of share my news as well. Hopefully I'm moving out, and hopefully that's going to be like a next step in my recovery. So I'm really excited about that. But I am still far from being cured, if you like. You know, I've still got the illness, I still have to manage it, I still have the symptoms. It's just trying to keep the activity going and, like I said, try to be slightly less reactive to the symptoms and just calm the nervous system down as much as we can. So yeah, hope that helps in some way, or just, I don't know if that will, probably won't. But anyway, sorry for the long video, it's been quite a waffle, but yeah, thanks for watching, and yeah, just hoping everyone's, you know, as well as they can be. And yeah, I probably won't be able to reply too much to like comments, because like I said, the reading and writing and typing still messes my head up a bit, but yeah,